When I hear it's been done before, and I hear it's a simple thing, then I hear it's got difficult, and I hear almost everything.
Welcome to Ask the Experts South Texas. Each week, we'll feature experts to educate you in all things health and wellness. Call in and be a part of the conversation. 308-8867. 308-8867. 308-8867. And now the hosts of Ask the Experts South Texas, Dr. Nicole Davis and Dr. Don Bledsoe.
Good morning, South Texas. Thank you for joining our show today. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. I'm Dr. Davis.
And I'm Dr. Bledsoe.
And we are audiologists by day, moms by night.
Pretty much, yep.
So interestingly enough, can you tell something different about me today?
Can I tell no?
No? Other than I'm smiling.
If you hadn't told me before the show, I wouldn't know.
Okay. Can you tell anything?
That's the first time I've seen you.
That's
so I
right.
have no idea.
I'm wearing a hearing aid.
Oh, and I didn't see it. Is that
No,
the
that's
key?
my point.
That's right.
That is my exact point. Like you wouldn't know, right?
No,
Yeah, because it's pretty discreet.
it is.
So the thing about these hearing aids that I'm wearing is that they're discreet. You can't tell I got them on, but I'm using them for tinnitus management. I have ringing in my ears. Not so sure of the origin of it, other than I had a lot of ear infections as a kid. And that scarring on the eardrum, a little bit of TMJ, I hear a constant humming in my ears with normal hearing thresholds. So these particular hearing aids are called Evoke, Widex Evoke Fusion aids. They will create a tinnitus masker, which will help cover up the tinnitus or the ringing in my ears. And Dawn's going to chime in. Go ahead.
They aren't really a masker.
Right. Well, the one I'm using is because I like the...
You like the white noise?
I do. Because that's what mine sounds like.
Oh,
so I'm a little bit... I'm odd.
You are odd.
I'm an odd audiologist.
So yes, yours is a masker.
Thank you.
Do you have the chimes on?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why later.
Okay. So Widex makes a retraining program in their hearing aids that you can activate or turn off as you need to or want to, that actually retrains the brain not to produce the sound.
Right.
So we can actually tell your brain to quit producing the sound over time. And when you take them off, you get about an hour of quiet to go to sleep. Some people can actually get rid of their tinnitus as long as they're wearing the devices. They don't hear it at all. And I had somebody actually ask me this week, so if it goes away, can I quit wearing the hearing aids? No, you can't, because your brain remembers that it's missing that information.
And it tries to plug it back in.
And it tries to plug it back in. So this is a constant effort that you have to do, but it works.
See, and I'm a bad patient because I pick and choose. I do that with so many things, and I shouldn't do that. But I do pick and choose when it's really exasperated and it's due to, if you got allergies or something's going on, you hear it a little bit stronger. I'll put it on during those time, and it just relieves it. It cuts it down pretty good. And they're awesome Bluetooth headsets. So on an aside, I can stream and listen to stuff, and my kids think I'm paying attention.
Yeah, because they're direct connect to the iPhone.
Very
I know,
good.
right? Hey,
Yeah,
every parent needs a set of these.
Yeah.
So where can someone come to find out about these?
So you can find us online at www.associatesofaudiology.com. You can call us at 210-334-0245. And we have 5 locations. We have 3 here in San Antonio, 1 in Bernie, and 1 in Kerrville.
And if you want detailed information on these aids, WidexUSA.com at WIDEX. It's a wonderful resource for tinnitus. They are the one brand that really gets to it and is really trusted for therapy with this type of thing. And everybody we see, most of them all say I have ringing in my
the
ears.
therapy is actually FDA approved.
Which is a big deal.
How many of your folks with tinnitus like that do you actually examine for their TMJ components? I'm just curious because there's a
so
connection.
we refer to people like you.
Well, that's funny you bring that
That's
up.
why you're on the show.
Right. That's right.
So this is Dr. Bennett. You want to say hi to everyone?
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
And Dr. Bennett, you're a physical therapist.
I am.
So
By day.
and a dad of 6
and a
by night.
dad at night.
A
That's right.
superhero by night,
Well,
right?
that's who I married.
That's right. She is, and she's the CEO of your family.
That's right.
She keeps it all moving and grooving.
She does.
What's
She
your
does.
age span on your kids?
So my oldest is 17, and then we run all the way down through my youngest is 5. So 5 boys, 1 beautiful
And
girl.
you still look youthful.
I do. Yeah, God's been gracious. That's right. That's right.
If you want to find out more about Dr. Bennett and his really large practice that he works with, it's www.texpts.com. You've got over 30 locations.
Yeah, we do. It's
Across Texas
Didn't start that way. We started locally in New Braunfels. I had just finished. I had just gotten out of the Air Force. I was an Air Force trained physical therapist. Several of my good friends and I decided to start a practice.
Which, on a side note,
Yes.
most of the folks that come out of Air Force
Yes.
in a branch of medicine are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna say that.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. It's good to know we're in
They've
good
got
company.
a lot of good knowledge in there. So physical therapy. Why physical therapy? What drew you to the field?
Well, originally I thought I was going to be a physician. I wanted to be involved in healthcare, and I wanted to get my hands involved in helping people, obviously, right?
Right.
My dad, in his incredible old man wisdom, which hopefully I'm now inheriting, right?
I think the funny thing is when you think about that with your parents, you look back and go, wait a minute, that's me right now. I had a
Totally.
moment this weekend like that. I was like,
Well, this past week was my 20th wedding anniversary, and I remember. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, "Holy smokes, 20 years! I don't have very many friends. I don't have any friends that I've been friends with longer than with her." So that was
Isn't that
one
wonderful?
of those neat moments. Yeah, it was good. So the my dad asked me to shadow a friend of ours who was an old school physician, right? So still did house calls,
Oh,
delivered
cool.
babies, did surgery, did clinic. He did the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, this is going to be fascinating. Well, it didn't go as planned because I did it for a full week. And the agreement was if he was on call, I was on call. Like if I was going to do this,
dear.
I was
Oh,
going
here
to
it
do
goes.
it the full way, right?
Yep.
So
Well, it's a good idea, though. It gives you
It
gives you a
was.
practical
So,
insight
that's
into
right.
what that life is like.
That's exactly
it's very
right.
demanding.
So the real reason I am not a physician and that I am a physical therapist is that there was this girl, and I had been working on trying to coordinate a date, and she finally said yes.
And you
that week.
couldn't go?
No, it got worse.
Oh no!
So we went to the movie theater. I forget whatever movie we were seeing. Get down in the seat. I splurged for the big bucket of popcorn and Coke, and this is, and this is the thing. The credits are getting ready to roll out. And back then we had pagers. This
Right.
was
Yes.
before cell phones.
Yes.
And you had a pager. You had to walk down the hall and drop your quarter in the actual payphone, right, to call back.
Yep.
Well, it went off. And I went over and called, and he said, hey, Andrew,
go
it's
time.
so-and-so, it's go time. This lady's getting ready to deliver her baby. You can either, you can just meet me at the hospital. So I go back to my...
Hey, you want to go see a baby
so,
be born?
No, I said, hey, so I have to go. You can come with me and hang out at the hospital, and I have no idea when we'll be done.
Yeah.
I can drop you off at the house
That sounds
on
like
the
a
way
fun
home.
first date, though.
Or you can
would've
stay
been
here
like,
and watch
yeah.
the movie. And she said, I'll take the popcorn, you go
She
deliver baby,
did.
and I'll find my way home. And that was the end of the date. And I never got to encounter with her again. So that's why I'm not a physician. Truth be told.
Oh no. Well, it worked out for your benefit, though, because look what you
did.
got.
Oh, and I love it. And I knowing what I know now, I have a lot of respect. I have very good friends.
What is
who are
that one
physicians.
song? God answered prayer.
Unanswered prayer.
Unanswered
Yeah,
prayer.
yeah, good Garth Brooks song.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's from Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma.
We have
What you gonna
clinics there
do?
too.
Well, there you go. So physical therapy. So before the show, I was thinking, okay, well, what does that entail? Like, okay, so rehab, muscle bone issues after breaks and things like that. But the gamut's bigger than that.
Yeah. So
explain that.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people have the same. I say a lot of people, meaning the general public,
Right.
and even several of my physician
You get
colleagues.
referred from your primary,
Right.
and you have 3 visits, and
Right.
you get the joint moving a little bit better,
Right.
and then you come back as needed.
Right.
That's kind
Right.
of the image.
That's well, and you know, it's justifiable. That's again
It's a part of
lot.
it.
It's like it is a part of it, but it is not the only thing that we do. I think most people in the general public experience us after they've had an injury. You know, if they're an elderly person, when they've had a fall, when if you're in high school and you twisted your ankle playing football or
Oh,
what
those
have
are the
you.
worst.
Yeah, there was some sort of
Not playing football,
triggering-
but soccer was mine. So,
Oh,
you know,
got it.
they happened a lot.
I was a midfielder.
Me
Not
too.
a very good, no kidding.
I was-
Outside or inside?
Outside.
All right, left side. Oh, no
I
kidding.
was left, and
Are
I
you
could
left-footed?
run. Right-footed,
Oh,
but I
that's
could.
even harder.
I
Okay,
know.
well, I was left-footed.
Yeah, I could run fast.
Well, that's good.
They put me where you. She can run. Put her there. So, but
Got it.
but I digress. So
That's okay.
The gamut's everything from sports
so
injury.
sports injuries, but we do a lot of management with our elderly population on preventing them from falls, preventing them from blood pressure changes. So much of what we do, though, is really the primary care of musculoskeletal medicine. What I mean by that is PT really is your best first choice. If you start to notice something, you know, your back's feeling
Don't
a little
wait.
funny, or your knee's feeling a little funny, or you want to get better at blood pressure management. You want to get better at your weight loss, some of the metabolic diseases that you're managing. We are not going to be managing that on our own, but we are a huge part of that. For example, we have a practice in town that we work with tremendously that does a lot of medical management of weight loss. Some of the Roux-en-Y procedures, some of the gastric bypass sleeves, and that's sort of the extreme end of folks that have had this long-term failure of metabolic disease management. And so we're helping them on that backside of it, but we're now engaging in the very, very front side of it. When we're talking about, are you aware of what cardiovascular exercise done incorrectly does to your body's ability to actually catabolize fat, break down fat?
Okay, you got to answer that now, because
What does that mean?
Okay.
well, what exercise
Yeah,
is
I mean,
harming
what-
your body
what-
so
yeah.
your body can't break down fat?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to answer, because I'm wondering if I've done. What am I doing that?
I know. Am I doing something wrong?
My experience,
avoid it.
this is just, again, I want to state this. This is
Okay.
just my experience.
Right.
When I've had patients come in the clinic, that about 50 to 60% of patients are exercising beyond where they should be
Yep.
in an effort for losing weight. So there's a if you think of it this way, if I can maybe take a second and do just a brief dive into some physiology. If you think
Sure.
of the word ATP, ATP is the energy molecule, right?
Right.
So your body has to create ATP for you to be able to do things, right? So if it creates ATP, you have energy. If it doesn't have a lot of ATP, then you don't have a lot of energy, right? Well, whatever the thing is you're doing, if it's sitting at your desk typing emails, that's not going to necessarily consume a ton of energy, so it doesn't need a ton of ATP. But if you're walking up and down a flight of stairs every 15 seconds, you got to go up another set of stairs, or if you're out jogging, it's going to require more ATP, right? So
Right.
your body has to generate the ATP to meet whatever the demand is. ATP comes from your body's ability to break down certain cellular components,
Right.
right? So whether it's going to break down the fat, right, it produces ATP. Well, fat doesn't burn very efficiently.
So like your reserve stores versus immediate.
Correct. So
Okay.
in order to get to that, you have to break down the fat to create the ATP. But if you're exercising and your demand for energy is more than what your body can produce by breaking down the fat, it makes a shift. And it stops catabolizing or burning the fat, and it goes to what you said, the energy reserves, which are held within your sugars,
Right.
right? Because sugar burns
Right.
a lot more pure, just kind of, it creates, there's more ATP that can come from that process faster.
It's like a quick shot.
It's a quick shot, exactly. And that's where we start to tap into things like our fight and flight mechanisms.
So then do you need an exercise regimen that's a little bit more long-term?
You see, it depends on what the individual is capable of. Not the goal. It depends on what the individual is capable of.
That's important.
Right? So here's...
like, I'm out. It's been 5. I'm not capable of more.
No. But for example, if you're...
you're looking,
If you're working with
Everyone
somebody...
says that.
I didn't even know he was sitting back there.
Yeah, he's
Good
saying
morning.
the same thing.
That's
He
right.
taps out at 3 minutes. Okay, keep going.
That's all right. So if the individual is a very heavy person, right, and then it's going to require more energy to move that body mass than it would be perhaps if they're your size, right? The other issue is if that individual starts learning how to tap into that sugar reserve, the way that we do that is we trigger that process by tapping into cortisol.
Right.
Cortisol is our fight or flight mechanism, right? We like cortisol. Cortisol makes us feel big and strong. So if you learn to tap into that cortisol, what you begin to do is you cheat. And you're able to achieve all of these looks like high energy activities, but because you've learned to go around your fat catabolization and you're learning to use your cortisol to jump into your sugars. And so you can run faster and run longer. But the result is it begins to pull down
your adrenals,
adrenal glands, and all of the cascades that fall from that.
I got this. I'm with you. That's why sometimes when people work out, they end up sick afterwards.
That's exactly
right.
And that's why people
themselves.
who try to lose weight work hard, but they work harder than they're able to do on fat, and so they burn sugar. Their body knows that they need that sugar to survive. So what happens? They crave things like crazy, and they ingest.
And then they end up eating more.
That's correct.
And
but it's
this is me.
And but this is your body that knows. Your body knows you have to have it. So yes,
I know that I'm yeah.
So yeah, that's most people don't think of physical therapy when they think that.
Yeah, but if we can get a good workup with our physician with the blood work, and then we get good PT, you can come up with a methodology to how to best suit your body, your metabolism, your adrenals, all of it.
Blood work with a great physician, a good nutritional person that we use, and physical therapy.
And then come up with
because the pillars of pillars of weight loss are diet and exercise. But it's got to be smart exercise, not just hard exercise.
Otherwise, you're just either going to hurt yourself, you can approach it the wrong way, and then you lose, I think, the motivation.
Correct.
Because it didn't work. I tried it. It made me sicker than before, so why try?
That's right. When we engage with patients, a lot of times we ask them, what's your history with exercise? It's kind of like bad boyfriend syndrome, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, it is. It's like you tried and tried and tried and tried, and you were never successul, or you tried it a couple times and you got hurt and you quit.
Did we meet before? On that note, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas. We'll be right back.
Do your loved ones say, "You're not listening"? Do they tell you the TV's too loud? Or do you have ringing in your ears or feel dizzy without explanation? Call Associates of Audiology. They are the experts at diagnosing and treating hearing loss and balance disorders for all ages. Call 210-334-0245 or see them at associatesofaudiology.com for a better quality of life. Don't let your ears keep you from hearing.
Back. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas. You're still laughing at me on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. I'm Dr.
I didn't mean
Davis.
to touch any sore buttons around the ex-boyfriend relationship to exercise.
Together. No.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's the whole cookie. It's not just it's not the bite. It's the whole thing. Everything is everything, as they say. But what I'm really quick for the audience, call 1-888-658-8483, or you can go to www.texpts.com.
PTS, yeah.
Physical therapy specialist. Yeah.
What
do you?
PTSD. It's like,
That helps you remember.
hopefully you won't have any after this show. But you actually have hours from 6:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. and Saturday hours. So it's super helpful for people that are working or
Yeah,
have
most of our
kids.
patients, I would say most of our patients are coming in early hours before school, before work, or after school and after work.
And if they go to the website, texpts.com, there's an appointment button there, and there's also a live chat button.
Correct. Yeah,
So you're not on your own.
We've found that busy working folks and moms are able to really get the kids in or get themselves taken care of from their smartphones a whole lot easier than sitting on a phone trying
Can you
to make an
imagine
appointment.
life back if we like rolled it back
Oh
to
my
the
gosh, no.
to put the quarter in the slot and no.
We survived it.
I know. It's just
Well,
insane how much
Jury's still
technology.
out, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, yeah.
So before the break, we were talking about how to approach exercise with a more holistic approach with the expertise of physical therapy. You're going to avoid injury. You're going to be kind of in your lane
Right.
for the type of body you have and the type of exercise you should be engaging in. So talk about paraphysiology, I think is what you said during the break.
Yeah,
and
so
how that plays a part.
For example, a lot of people will say, "Well, I'm exercising like crazy." And I can do the 60 minutes on the elliptical trainer or the
I do
treadmill or
CrossFit.
CrossFit. Exactly. But they're not able to lose weight.
And God bless you if you do CrossFit and you can do all those push-ups and stuff and show off and all of that.
I
I'm
can't
happy
do
for
that.
you. I look at you and I say, "Good on you." Next.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of data and research that high load, high intensity.
healthy for everyone.
It's not healthy if it's done at the wrong time. Without the preparation, but
Okay.
there's if you're not lifting, you're not going to get strong.
Well, if I'm not lifting, I would just be hanging off the bar like I am now. Like,
But
okay,
you need some coaching,
I'm doing
right?
CrossFit.
Right, yeah.
I'm doing a dead man's drop.
That's all right. But to your
I would name it that. They'd be
The
like,
dead
"What are
man-
you
Dead man
doing
drop?
over there, Nicole?" "Oh, working out."
I'm stretching my armpits.
Stretching. Hey, there you go. But okay, but talk about how you start and you begin to formulate.
Yeah, so we have the ability to put you through a physical exam. So first thing we're going to do is we'd look at your health history. Let's understand what medications you're on, what processes have been complicated in your body. For example, do you have a thyroid issue? Have you had C-sections? Have you had a knee injury? Have you had a history of backs?
Surgeries.
It is incredibly important. Incredibly important. And it's interesting you say that.
Because if you don't have mid-core strength,
Correct. Well,
it's
mid-core
hard.
strength, and oftentimes, and I don't want to get too far off the beaten path, but the post-pregnancy, postpartum, the leaking, and some of the incontinence issues that comes with that. That is incredibly common, but not normal. Doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way.
Right.
And that's another role that our board-certified physical therapists in pelvic floor are able to manage. So yet another piece of why we were talking about before, it's not just after the knee surgery.
There's things that keep people from being able to even follow a healthy regimen.
Right. Exactly right. So if you were to come into the clinic, we would go through all of that with you. It'd probably take us a good 30 to 45 minutes to go through your entire health history of understanding what it is you have, who are you, what are you bringing in. But we're also going to do things like examining your relationship to sleep.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So do you have a regular habit around sleep? We call it your sleep hygiene. Just like you brush your teeth before you go to bed. What are you doing to prepare yourself for sleep? There are certain cycles, and you know that, sleep cycles,
yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
parts of the cycle.
Yeah.
And certain hormones get released at certain phases in that cycle. And if you're not getting that component of your sleep, then when you're exercising and all of this high-end
It goes into your adrenals.
Right.
and your
You're not reinforcing that or replacing that in your sleep, and so you're burning your candle at both ends.
Yeah. Oh, that
and then
makes
the
sense.
only way you survive your day-to-day life is through more cortisol.
Dr. Bennett, you've just made sense to me.
Good.
No, I mean, because I just think this is so many women.
Well, it's not just women, but
Yeah.
yes. But I think our classic fight or flight response, right? If you think way back when you're in the Amazon and the tiger yelled at you or jumped at you and you ran faster and could jump, that's sort of the fight or flight we have in our head from our biology class when we were in high school, right?
It's our chimpanzee brain.
Right. But our current fight or flight response looks a lot like the soccer mom. I got to go, got to keep going. Can't stop. If I stop, the train derails.
Right.
It is that internal pressure. Or it looks like the executive or the individual sitting in front of an email. Did you know that you have exactly the same hormonal and physiologic response to the perception of threat to your sense of identity that you do to a perception of threat to your physical body? So the idea of imagining yourself
That makes sense.
to be a victim of a shark attack has the same physiologic response in
Chemical
your brain and your
response is the
chemicals
same.
as actually being in one. Which, if you take that and now you apply it to that email that you're reading right before you go to bed, that kind of gets under your skin, or it says, no, this isn't right. It actually increases that cascade of hormones of cortisol in the fight or flight component.
luck sleeping.
Good luck sleeping. You got it.
Okay. Well, that's our society. It's just not geared towards healthy.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, let's talk about what that would look like, what the regimen would look like, and then how quickly you can help someone get their life together in their body and get it to start healing itself when they sleep. So when they do start to do these activities, they're actually beneficiary to the person.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas.
Don't you listen to what the man said? He said, take it away.
And we are back. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas. I'm Dr. Davis.
And I'm Dr. Bledsoe.
And we're with Dr. Bennett today. You can go to www.texpts.com. He is an awesome physical therapist, and he's part of Texas Physical Therapy. So for the audience, I really want to go into what defines physical fitness. And for you, you said it was how quickly the heart rate can return to its natural state.
Well, that's a measure.
A measure.
Yeah. I think a definition
The increase and reduction.
Yeah. So I think a better definition of fitness is how quickly and accurately can the body match the demand being placed on it. So if we gave the
Like
example
the duty
of,
load. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're running a 100-yard dash, right, you got to run fast. Well, when you're standing still, the load on your body is not super heavy. When you start that dash, the load is going to increase. How quickly can your body rise to meet that demand? Once it's able to meet that demand, does it just keep rising, and that's what creates a heart attack? Or does it able to say, hey, I can meet that rise and I can stay at that level, and so it plateaus off as long as you're running? And then when you're finished the race and you're standing at
It
the water
recovers.
cooler, does it just keep staying that heavy does it take you 3 and 4 minutes to get your breath back? Or within 60 seconds, can your heart rate drop at a minimum of 10 beats per minute? Right? So how quickly can your body drop back down towards its resting baseline, right? That delta, if you will, is the measure of fitness. That's a definition of fitness. And so what we were talking about is a lot of times there's individuals who aren't physically fit in their cardiovascular ability or their joint ability, their muscular ability.
And they're tapping into
and they're
the
tapping into the
adrenals.
adrenaline. Right. And
Which
pain,
makes you feel great.
It does. And it makes your pain feel less.
But then afterwards, what happens?
Then there's a crash. Right. So we see this with like the executive mentality, right? I got a lot of things to do all day. We see that in the mom mentality. I've got to go,
Soccer
go.
moms.
Soccer moms, you got it. That's the fight and flight. And so for them, they are living as if they're running a 100-yard dash
All the time.
all the time, and they're tapping into cortisol, and they go get that cortisol because it makes them feel like they can survive. So ultimately what they do is they create an addiction to cortisol. Right?
Which is probably why also in the hormone panels there's a depletion.
Right, and that's linked
B12
to the low T for the men.
and low
That's where
T.
all that comes from, right? And the cascade of that. You asked me about sympathetic, parasympathetic.
Yeah,
right.
go
so
into that.
So the sympathetic system is your fight, flight, faint, or freeze. Right. That's how our body responds.
Oh, it's like those freezing goats.
The goats,
I
yes.
love that.
Yes.
Anyway, just Google that real quick, and it'll make you laugh all day, and just go back to it anytime, and just keep going and going. It just gives and gives a laugh.
Have you watched the videos of the fainting goats?
I have seen the fainting
Okay.
goats. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's that.
So that's that system, right? That's the survival system. And,
Anyway.
and for the fainting goats, right? Now you're going to think everybody thinks we're fainting goats.
No.
The parasympathetic is your rest, digest, and recover. Now, both of those systems, if you could draw a line, and on the left side of the line you wrote the sympathetic, and on the right side of the line you wrote the parasympathetic, you are constantly somewhere in the middle. So you're ebbing and flowing between those two systems, right? They can't both be high, because
Right.
if one is high, the other is lower. And so it's like a pendulum swing back and forth, right? Well, what typically happens is if your pendulum stays swung on the fainting goat side, right? If
You're on the ground.
That's right. If you stay on the fight or flight and you're dipping into that cortisol, your body doesn't have the ability to rest. So your sleep gets bad. You don't get to replenish hormones. You lose the ability to digest. So a lot of these stress-related irritable bowel syndromes, your inability to digest certain food types. Now, not all gluten people,
I didn't
intolerance
say
or
allergies because the histamine goes up.
Yes, correct.
in the
But that certainly impedes the
Chain
folks
reaction.
who do have that, and then your body's ability to recover, which means your ability to downregulate. You use the word retrain your brain. That's really what I'm saying. Is to your body's ability to ignore certain signals that
Abnormal
you
becomes the
might
new normal.
think are pain. Right, you talked about in your hearing aid a while ago about retraining the brain
Right.
about the tinnitus, the ringing in the ears. Well, that's a big part of what exercise, when done correctly, can do for
How long
all
does
of
that
joint
take?
pain.
Like, how long does it take to really retrain the body on how it should use both the parasympathetic and the sympathetic interchangeably?
10 minutes.
Okay.
So let me.
Okay, qualify that. Qualify my okay.
So knowledge has to be applied, right?
Yeah.
So the first part is you begin with any behavior change with changing someone's awareness,
Right.
That's huge.
right? So we just did that today
Right.
with you,
Yes.
right? So I would say we've already made the initial step. What you didn't, you had a bad relationship with exercise. You thought, I worked my fanny off and nothing
It's gonna
happens.
hurt for an hour and
Hurt's
then
gonna,
I'm gonna need a lot of water and I'll be okay.
But we just broadened your perspective to go, well, hey, maybe there's more that you didn't know. And are you willing now to re-engage with me as your physical therapist to help guide you through what could be possible if we do this well?
And our different body types, I mean, they're just different on
Yeah.
how you start?
Yeah. So what we'd like to do is set a baseline. So again, we go through the history, figure out who you are, what you have. We do a musculoskeletal exam, right? Like if you have a knee that doesn't bend all the way or doesn't straighten all the way, if you've got a portion of your spine that's painful, how I exercise you has to change. Because if I'm exercising with you into something that is painful, and your body triggers the cortisol piece because it says, I have to get through it. And even though we might be exercising at a lower level, because of that presence of pain is a threat or a perceived threat to you, your body goes, well, if I'm really going to do this new exercise thing, I better push through it. And here we are doing the
I'm gonna
same
commit.
thing
I'm gonna commit.
all over again.
Really, Dr. Bennett, people need to come see you. I think if just in general.
Well, they could
before
see
start
yeah,
exercise or any
of our therapists, right? I'm
we
like,
got
oh my
30
gosh.
locations.
Yeah,
Come
we all-
on.
You're going to be super busy.
Yeah, well,
Everybody, go
That's
see
right.
Dr. Bennett.
But that's part of what our company does. Is so
Yeah.
we've built our company around board certification, right? So
yeah,
what
only
I'm just
5% are board certified.
correct.
That's a
And
very
for
small
our
niche.
company, that is really
That's a standard?
That's a standard. Yeah. Now, not everybody has it when they join us, right?
But they
Because they
better
come
get
straight
it.
out of school. But we put them through residencies and
That's great.
certification training, and really support that process for them to be able to deliver the very things that we're talking about today.
And that prevents injury.
It does, and it prevents cost. Right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we could be involved with folks who have that initial sign of some sort of pain, and instead of them pushing through and tapping into all this cortisol, which then shifts their whole GI, what What if we could help you say, hey, let's retrain your brain just a little bit. Let me show. Remember, pain isn't a sign that something is wrong. Pain is a sign that you need to stop and pay attention to decide through conscious assessment, is something wrong?
Yeah.
And like we gave the example, we were talking earlier, sometimes if you wake up one morning and you've got a ton of back pain and you think, oh my gosh, something's wrong with my back. And you go to a physician who then takes an x-ray or an MRI and then is able to show you that you've got a herniated disc or you've got this spondylolisthesis or we've got all these big medical words. You begin to, as a patient, put together, I have pain, my belief is something is wrong, and then your physician that you trust just showed you a picture and says, you are broken. Something is wrong. Bum, 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 right? And
Here's some meds.
and now you're going down this long, dark pathway. What the patients often don't know is that if you're over the age of 30 years old, there is a 70% probability you have at least one, if not multiple, findings on an MRI. And just because you have pain doesn't mean the herniation disc has anything to do with it. So the body creates pain to get your attention to slow down. So what if you came in and said, hey, I have bad back pain, and you saw one of our guys, one of our physical therapists, and they did that health history with you, and we found out that your relationship status at home with your significant other is challenged. We found that you're not sleeping. We found that your response to that is you've been exercising like crazy to try to lose weight so you can fit in again. We found out that your job is really stressing you out right now. So guess what? Fight, flight, all that is kicking in. Your body is using back pain to get your attention that something needs attention.
Right.
But it is not your spine. That's how it shows up.
It's a sympathetic
The
system.
body makes visible that which is invisible.
Oh, I like that.
Well, that's John Paul II.
Yeah. John Paul II.
St. John Paul II, yeah.
Say that one more time.
He says, the body makes visible that which is invisible. He was talking about it from the philosophy and
but that's the
religion,
mind-body
but that is
spiritual
the
connection,
mind-body
and it
spirit
certainly
connection.
does play a role
Right.
in well-being and peace of mind.
And the key is we have to know what we're looking at.
Right.
And just because you walk in with back pain or neck pain or a migraine headache doesn't mean you have something wrong with you in the back, neck, or in the head. Same thing goes with your tinnitus.
Yeah.
By the way, little PT note here. If you've got somebody with tinnitus and they have some findings in their TMJ, they should be assessed by a physical therapist as well, because the branch of the trigeminal nerve also innervates the tensor tympani muscle.
That's right.
And those two go together.
Oh,
See, is that my analogy?
I like it when people come on and talk our language.
I'm trying to.
Oh, it's awesome. So having said that, okay, someone I know had a locked jaw.
Yes.
Like they had chronic locked jaw. Is there an exercise you can do to release that? I mean, you need to be assessed, but is there something they can do?
So, well, the first...
aside of surgery?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please don't do surgery right away.
Yeah.
Right? So the jaw is one of the only joints in the body that is suspended completely, and it changes it changes how it moves based on your head position. Right? For example, here's a fun take home. If you're ever in a situation and you're starting to yawn and you need to change it, do that deep chin tuck.
Oh, I do that sometimes.
So-
like, don't yawn.
Yeah, so your
they're telling me
brain
something important.
Right.
So
just tuck your chin. So your brain is talking, your head is stable, and you move your jaw. If you're chewing, your head is stable and you're moving your jaw. When you yawn, your jaw is stable and you move your head. So
stabilize the head and you're just...
That's right. I got through many lectures that way.
I'm going to tell my daughters entering college that, because that's critical.
Well, just watch out for husbands, be careful. Now the wives know.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
What the flower people say. Listen, it's getting louder every day.
Do your loved ones say, you're not listening? Do they tell you the TV's too loud? Or do you have ringing in your ears or feel dizzy without explanation? Call Associates of Audiology. They are the experts at diagnosing and treating hearing loss and balance disorders for all ages. Call 210-334-0245 or see them at associatesofaudiology.com for a better quality of life. Don't let your ears keep you from hearing.
We are back. You're listening to Ask the Experts of South Texas. With us today is Dr. Bennett, and you can go to www.texpts.com, and they have spots where you can make an appointment and talk to a live person through or via their website. And if you're more traditional, you can call 1-888-658-8483. So are there like preventative exercises people can do for their joint health?
Yes, absolutely. Remember, Grandma used to say, "Motion is lotion."
No, she never said that.
Oh,
but
mine
yours
did. Yeah. Well, that's really true. So,
Yeah.
our joint health is really maintained with good and full motion mobility. The example I'll give patients in the clinic sometimes is if you want your joint surfaces to rub together smoothly, they have to have the lubrication.
Yeah.
Now, our bodies, you don't have a spot on your body that you can kind of put a little grease fitting on and like squeeze the grease
So
back
is
in
popping
there, right?
that getting the lubrication?
No.
Or the lotion?
The motion is lotion actually gets created by the joints rubbing together. So there are small little cells inside the joint endings that when they're pressed on and rubbed, they are stimulated to produce the joint lubrication. So what happens, however, is when we don't move them through their full ranges, what happens is the ends of those ranges start to dry up. And then you don't move in there because it hurts. But that's exactly where you do need to be moving. And so gently beginning to restore that motion, that's where manipulation, manual therapy can be helpful, right? If you come to a physical therapist who moves it for you, guides you in there and sort of gets it back and forth and it stimulates that movement. Bring you into one of our clinics. We use what's called an anti-gravity treadmill. It's like this space-age contraption. It's a treadmill. You zip into it, and it takes up to 400 pounds off of a person's body. So you can actually walk and move and not have that much pressure. So that what we're doing is we're taking off the amount of pressure.
Because isn't the pressure that you put towards the surface equally comes back at you?
For
so
sure.
if you're running on concrete, good luck. That's not...
Well, yeah, but that's not bad.
Yeah.
Provided that you have the capacity for it.
Right.
Again, it goes back to fitness. Can you meet the demand that's being asked of your body?
No.
Right. So maybe not right now.
I need that anti-gravity machine.
Yeah, it's fun, and and we've used that for many things, not just for the the joint conditioning, but also for we use it a lot in our elderly population.
Yeah.
So the number one predictor for fall risk. In other words, how likely is my grandmother or my great aunt, how likely is she going to fall and break a hip or break a wrist, is directly correlated to how fast can she move her legs when she's walking. It's called gait speed. Well, that just makes sense, right? So if you stumble or trip, if you don't have the speed to move your feet quickly to regain your balance, well, then you're going to end up on your face.
Right.
And what happens is our older adults, they don't want to move that fast because they're scared.
Scared they're going to fall.
They're scared.
And then it's a broken hip, and then what?
Right. And then they don't move. Or another piece that happens, this is going back to your world again, the vestibular system, right? So vestibular system hypofunction, right? It begins to not function at the same level because you're no longer moving then through the world at the same speed as you used to.
Yeah.
And so what used to be sort of normal now is whoa, if I turn my head quickly, because I don't turn my head that quickly, or if grandma's neck is stiff and she's not doing this, she's moving from her trunk and torso.
Yeah, I see that.
Then when she does move from her head, her vestibular system isn't used to body on head movement. She gets dizzy, she falls down. Right? So the AlterG treadmill is a fantastic way for us to secure you and zip you into a treadmill that cannot go anywhere. and allow you
Allow that
to
movement.
increase your gait speed to a high level without your fear of falling. And then we use our virtual reality components on top of that to retrain the vestibular system.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have virtual reality goggles and systems in our clinic.
VNGs, yeah.
Not just for vestibular, but we use it for pain education. Again, you talk about retraining the body's mind. I'll give you an example. There's a patient that we have right now who has very, very bad whiplash after a
whiplash
neck injury.
is horrible. It lasts for years.
So,
and years.
well, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to,
Right.
but it just does for most.
So she turns to the left, she can go normal. She turns to the right, she can't move more than, let's call it an inch for sake of people that can listen. We put on the VR goggles. And what we do in the VR goggles is recalibrate the sensitivity of the movement. So, for example, if you put on the goggles and you move 3 inches to your left and 3 inches to your right, in the goggles, it looks like you're moving over 15 inches to the left and over 15 inches to the right.
Ocular mobility.
You got it. So now we're
you're talking in my
retraining
language.
the brain to say, hey, your visual input was now signaling your brain. Sorry, I didn't mean to snap. Signaling your brain that right here is when I'm supposed to be getting pain.
Yeah.
But what we do now is we say, now you move an inch and it looks like you're moving a mile. And because you don't have the same tension, you don't have the same, it's retraining your brain that, hey, by the way, that threat you were worrying for, it's
gone.
really not there.
Yeah.
So you can feel free to move now.
That's the vestibulo-ocular reflex.
That's right.
You're
It's a big
retraining
part of
that
it. And
pathway.
we are doing that. And we do a lot with VR 1 and 2.
Man, you can really trick the brain.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Awesome.
So one of the things
That's
that
good
I'm...
that you guys have all that.
Well,
that's rare.
Again, we're not just post-knee scope ACL
Yeah.
physical therapist.
That's great.
Right, that's a
so
big part of what we
again, texpts.com. They have appointments you can make and someone that will chat with you and help you maneuver where to go and how to get there. I like what you said earlier about that non-native heart rate and how you need to learn what real fitness feels like within your own body,
Right.
and then kind of becoming self-aware of, my heart rate's not coming down, and it's an hour after I've been working. Something's not right.
Or my heart rate's not coming down, or I notice it's not in my normal resting heart rate, and I haven't been exercising in an hour and a half.
Why am I still racing?
Right. What's going on that's triggering my heart rate?
Yeah.
And so you begin to really dial into the psychosocial emotional physiology. How is what I'm experiencing, what I think about myself in this situation, influencing my physiology? But also, how is my ability to function in this situation being affected by my physiology? See, because if your physiology responds to stress, let's say you do that 100-yard dash, and it takes you 15 minutes to get your heart rate down.
Not good.
That's because you're going straight to cortisol. Well, guess what? If you're in a non-physiologic stress, the same cortisol happens. And your ability to bring your breath down, to be present in the moment, to engage in a cognitive, non-hijacked state, right? Your limbic system doesn't get taken over. It's not going to happen as well because your physiology is pinging on that sympathetic stance.
You know what? And I feel like in where we're at right now in our culture, there's always, and of course, it has probably always been this way, but there's all these diet. I don't want to say fads because I think they're helpful, but like keto and these other things, and I think they think that's the only answer in the puzzle. And you've just described what has to also happen if you're partaking in that type of weight loss management.
If you're looking at an either or,
Not-
you're living in a scarcity mindset, and that's not healthy. In
Oh,
this
I like that
situation.
too. Scarcity mindset.
Yeah, it's about how do we create the
Which
best solution.
psychologically you're going to rebound from, and then you're going to like overindulge.
Yeah.
That's that ping pong.
Yeah.
Sure, we call that booming, when you boom and bust.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna write
Right.
that down too. I've
So-
got gait speed. I've got boom and bust. I've got non-native heart rate.
And you figured out how not to betray your yawn. That's probably the biggest takeaway of the day.
Okay.
right?
Yeah. No kidding. So like about 1 or 2 o'clock when you're really getting tired, and you've got someone in front of you who's like, if I yawn, it's rude. You can't do that. So you just need to push your head back towards in alignment with your spine.
Yeah, so the example we give is if you're sitting up and somebody had something that smelled really bad and they shoved it right in front of your nose, that like yuck movement, that's the movement we're talking about.
Now, granted, they might say, what did I do? And make you have that response.
Well, you
but
can
you're
learn
not
to do it
yawn.
subtly. You know, it's sort of like, what?
Like,
I'm watching you do it right now.
I'm thinking about what you said, but really, I'm trying not to yawn. I have so many takeaways from this hour. Now, something really cool happened in the Texas House and Senate, right? There was before
Direct access.
Right.
Direct access. There's
Right.
before with PT or physical therapy, referral from primary, and then you get so many visits this way, and it should be signed pretty quick.
So
crossing fingers.
Right. So
direct.
the backstory is Texas was one of the few states where we did not have access to patients without a physician referral. 48 other states you can.
Which is insane.
Well,
I
agree.
Physician referral is awesome. It needs to happen.
Right. And quite frankly, we send referrals
But you
back
already
to physicians
refer.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point being
Yeah.
is the House and the Senate in the state of Texas both passed allowing a bill that allows patients to come directly into allowing patients to come directly into physical therapy without having to require the physician's referral. Now, that will go into effect if the governor signs the bill, which we believe he will, because it's passed by both the House and Senate. Will be happening in this September.
Yay.
And there are some components to that bill that are built in to keep the relationship between the physical therapist and their primary care referral, or the physical therapist and their physician of record.
Well, what it does is it removes barriers for care for folks, because a lot of people say, I don't want to have to go to the primary and then have a limited amount, and it's just a hassle, So this way, I think it just it's psychological. People say, no, I'm just going to go get help.
Yeah, and
I need it.
I think our ability to give help, and we talked about this earlier, is when you walk into one of our clinics and you're seen by one of our physical therapists, you're going to walk out and you're going to say, wow, when's the last time you had an amazing experience in healthcare?
Well, Dr. Bennett, I just might have to come see you.
I'd love it.
I'm going to go to your website, texpts.com. You can make an appointment there and have a live chat. Thank you so much for being with us this hour.
Thank you for hosting.
I learned a lot about my sympathetic, my parasympathetic system, when my body is probably more than not going into the cortisol versus the fat storage that it needs to get rid of.
And you learned how to not yawn. That's what
So thank you so much for everybody being with us this hour. We'll see you next week on Ask the Experts of South Texas. Dawn, you want to say bye?
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.